Welcome to Gypsy After Hours. I'm your host, Danielle Mercurio. By day, I'm a quick-witted, intuitive coach, spiritual teacher, and speaker, empowering entrepreneurs and individuals to be successful and live life on purpose. By night, I'm kicking back with the latest in reality TV, trying to make sense of my dating life and being an urban trendsetter. This late-night talk show is curated to bridge together self-help, spirituality, sex, and pop culture. It features some of the coolest people I know, lots of laughs, captivating storytelling, and unfiltered advice. Please note, I'm not afraid to get real or talk dirty. And don't forget to subscribe or give some crazy, sexy love with a rating or Instagram shout out. And now, the show that takes having a lust for life to a whole new level. Hey babes, how's it going? Another day, another episode. Where are you right now? What are you wearing? No, don't tell me. I don't really want to know. But what I do want you to know is that I have a fabulous new sponsor, and I love this sponsor so much, and I'm probably going to say that about all my sponsors, but this time it's really, really true. Like this girl that I'm about to introduce, Meg Sylvester, I'm obsessed with her, and here's why. She came into my life, I want to say maybe about a little over a year ago. And actually, I worked with her because she was in a space where she had completed her certification as a functional medicine health coach, and she was ready to start her business. And she just wasn't sure how to piece it all together. And how do you stay in that confidence and in that right mindset? And, how do you just do all the things that you do once you get certified as a coach? And so we got to work together, and it was so great because she was just like a dream client. Like I mean, pretty much all my clients are, but it's just always affirming when I work with someone that is so stellar, and she is the real deal. And I can say that because clearly her coaching business is set up fantastically by moi, and because I would listen firsthand to her share with me the results her own clients were having and the shifts that they were making. And it's through the coaching that she does. She has this system called the Aligned Body Method. And it's a 4-month program where essentially she blends together science, mind, body, intuition to really give you a holistic experience to live life the way you want to. Essentially, if you're curious if this is for you, she specializes in helping her clients connect to their well-being, their vitality, their purpose in such a way that they are really living the life that they truly desire. And she does this by recognizing and overcoming your blocks so that, it could be those limiting beliefs. It could be those unhealthy patterns, those behaviors, those fixated mindsets that just keep you from going for your dreams. You know what I'm talking about? She works with you, though, this woman in particular, the one that is stuck, aimless, and frazzled, and knows that there has to be more than life than what they're experiencing. So if you've been in this spot, you definitely need to check out my girl Meg. She is delightful. You will go down the rabbit hole that is her website. It's megsylvester.com. It's fantastic. You're going to go to it and you're going to be like, oh my God, who is this woman? Like, I want her to be my best friend. And you'll read about her and you'll see her services. In addition to coaching, she also has a course that's opening on March 26th. It's a May Cause Miracles course. So she adapted this program off of the book by Gabby Bernstein, May Call Miracles. Yeah, why not? You can also cause miracles too. You don't have to just call them. And it's called May Cause Miracles. And it's a 6-week experience that she curated. And if you mention the show for this or for the coaching, you are going to get a wicked deal, like a wicked deal. So let her know that you found her through Gypsy After Hours, and I am going to hook you up. Let me tell you, especially for the May Cause Miracles, you're going to be like, whoa, like Danielle, like you legit you weren't kidding about that hookup. And I'm going to be like, I know. Same with the coaching too. So you want to check that out also. She has a great shop on her website too, a lot of resources that I myself have invested in and sometimes share on my Instagram stories. Most of the time I say I don't know what they mean and that you have to go see Meg because she's got all the answers. She just knows everything about everything, health and wellness, and she's incredible. So go check her out, megsylvester.com. I completely and truly stand for everything that she does. The way that she stands up for herself and the way that she shows up in service is fantastico. And I really believe that you will be doing yourself a huge favor by having her in your world. So go to her website and then go down the rabbit hole of everything she has to offer. Find her on Facebook, find her on the Instagram, and just be amazed. And I probably will have her on the show at some point too. But this is our little intro moment. Okay, little first taste of Meg Sylvester. So again, megsylvester.com. See the link directly on the show notes, and let me know when you sync up with her and be like, Danielle, you were so right. She was so fabulous. And I'll be like, I know. What I also know is I have a fabulous guest on tonight too. I just love everybody. And it's my beautiful friend, Cassandra Bodzak. And I love her. You know, the universe kind of wanted us to be best friends. Well, we're not really best friends, but we're really good friends. So the universe really wanted us to be really good friends. And the first time it happened was my friend, Emily Abe, who she'll be on the show in a few weeks, actually. Her and I used to barter readings. So we would do angel readings or intuitive readings or kind of psychically aligned readings, whatever it needed to be. We would kind of just exchange them for each other. And one of the, we don't really do it anymore. We haven't done it in years, to be honest, but we used to do it. And one of the things she told me was that I was going to be friends with this girl named Cassandra. She had blonde hair and she was vegan. And, you know, she had this Instagram name. I think it was like Go Green and Skinny or something at the time. Now it's Cassandra Bodzak. But she was like, you're going to be friends with her. And I was like, oh, cool. And like, I followed her on Instagram and didn't really think much of it. And then I'd say maybe less than a year later, a mutual friend of Cassandra and I, we were both living in New York. A mutual friend said, hey, you know, my friend, Michelle Maros, who's another dear friend of ours, she just moved to New York City. It's her birthday. Let's throw her a dinner party. And I was like, that's cool. Like, I'm all for meeting new friends and birthday parties. And it was like Mexican food. And it was before the Mexican food, it was one of those stripper, what's that? Oh shoot. It's the like number one stripper classes. It's blank. It's by a woman named Kelly. Well, it's really cool. It's I keep wanting to say the L word, but that was like a TV show on Showtime. It's not called the L word, but essentially it's these classes that, you know, it's not a stripper class. I'm being a little not feminine about it, but there are the pole dancing classes that help you tap into your goddess self. And it's really beautiful and enchanting. And I wish I could think of what it's called, but I can't, so I won't. And then afterwards we went to Rosa Mexicano. Yes, I can remember the name of the restaurant for Mexican, and it was fabulous. Anyway, I was sitting next to Cassandra, and like we really hit it off. And I was sitting next to the founders of Soul Camp, also Ali and Michelle, and got to know them too that night. So it was a very magical evening. And Michelle Maros is still a dear friend of mine too. So that night was wonderful. And since then, what's really interesting is, you know, Cassandra and I, we did one of those things. We're like, oh yeah, we should get together sometime. And then like, you know, no one ever initiates it. So it doesn't happen. But I'm telling you, there were multiple times the universe would just like sync us up at an event or a class, or we'd be at a retreat and we were roommates. And this just happened so many times that we're like, all right, we give in. We're meant to be friends, and the universe coordinates when it's supposed to happen. So she's amazing. She came to be when she first kind of got her first spark of fame, if you will, by being on the reality show on ABC, The Taste. Now, I'm more of a Top Chef girl. That was always my jam. And so I didn't watch The Taste, but it would have been cool if I did, because, you know, I am sure that she would have been my favorite. And then I would have sat next to her that one day. I'd be like, oh my God, like I remember you when you were on The Taste and you were so good. And I wanted to really taste your food in real life, but you can't because it's a TV show. And we would have said all that and it would have been fabulous. But we didn't have that destiny, but I found her anyway. So she leveraged her experience being on The Taste to really create an amazing mind, body, and soul brand. And she also wrote the amazing book, Eat with Intention, Recipes and Meditations for a Life That Lights You Up. She also founded her own online community, appreciati.com. And she teaches women how to have it all using rituals that involve food, meditation, and self-care to create sustainable success and well-being. She's been dubbed a spiritual leader by Well and Good, and is the mindful cooking show host of Eat with Intention TV. Or You may just know her as, the girl that speaks all over the world and, spending her free time on the beach in Santa Monica, enjoying life. So she is a tasty treat. And with that, let's welcome her to the show tonight. Please welcome my girl, Cassandra.
Hey, I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. I really am.
I've been waiting for this interview.
I know, and especially because I feel like I told you about this podcast like almost a year ago.
For sure. And I was like, you better interview me for it.
I know. And then I just dragged my feet on actually starting it.
I feel you. I know. It's not an easy task to have a podcast.
No, it's not. But I will say now that I'm in the groove, like it's great. But it's like very overwhelming in the beginning.
It is. I think it is more so than it seems to people from the outside. It's a lot of work. But on the bright side, you get to have fun conversations with people. And that was my favorite part of it when I was doing it too.
Yeah. So you're not doing it anymore?
Well, the Lightmaker podcast has been on hiatus for about a year now.
Oh.
I just needed to put a pause on it because I am the master of having like 7,000 things on my plate. And I've learned that I work better with having like maybe 10 things on my plate.
Yeah. Never one or two.
It can never be one or two because I'd get so bored. Yeah. But I do need to try to keep it to sensible proportions, or at least kind of, I think what I've graduated to now is feeling like I have some things that are kind of like running like their own little well-oiled machines before I add something else on. So yes. I would say that it's temporarily on hiatus. It may come back. I think about it coming back sometimes, but it is a big undertaking. So I applaud people that have podcasts, and maybe one day I'll do it.
People make it seem so easy. Like, I have a podcast now. And you're like, whoa. And then you try to do it and you're like, oh.
Well, you're like, oh, there's a lot of different things.
Oh, I see. I just thought I could have a cool microphone. I didn't know there was more. Yeah. And that's what happened. I bought the microphone back in like April of last year, and I just had it chilling.
I wish it was that easy.
Yeah.
Just invest in a good microphone.
But it looked cool. Yeah, I know what you mean though about like filling up your plate too much. Like I used to treat my business like it was like the Sizzler, and it was just like a free for all. Not that I would eat the Sizzler now, but that concept.
Like it was a classy brunch buffet.
Yes, like didn't we had like we did some kind of all you can eat seafood experience together.
What do we? Oh, that's Remember right. That? We did at Ignite and Expand.
That's right. That was like a year ago.
That was a year ago. Yeah, we were both talking at this retreat in Florida. That was such a fun trip.
That was really fun.
Such a bonding experience.
Oh my God. Yeah. So we have to talk about the cacao.
I know. The cacao ceremony.
Oh my God. Okay. So like at this retreat, they brought in a shaman and she facilitated a cacao ceremony. And I had never done it before. Had you?
No, this is my first one.
Okay. So we were both cacao virgins, which, said a lot that I was finally able to be a virgin again.
Me too. I feel like I have tried a lot of spiritual things as well. So
it was definitely kind of like popping a cherry that we hadn't, surprisingly so.
And we were there together for it.
Yes, and we were together for it. We were lying down next to each other. It was beautiful. But essentially the shaman, so she brought in the cacao, and for anyone that doesn't know, like kind of the essence of a cacao ceremony. So it's literally like chocolate in its purest form. And then it's concocted with cayenne and cardamom and all these other beautiful antioxidants. And you take it, and then basically you go into this meditation, and I feel like there was a sound bath with it. And like, literally, like I call it my Cacao-gasm, because I was like literally like a dead, like a fish that's like flopping around, like almost dead. You know what I mean? Like that was my body. It was like like it was just like going crazy, and it was like such pleasure. And I feel like I saw like Archangel Michael like coming upon me. It was just like really wild.
Yeah. No.
How was it for you?
I had the most, whenever I do any sort of ceremony or ritual or anything, even any like experience or class, right? I always like go in and I set some sort of intention to, if there's anything I need to hear, I need to know, and I think it's something you can do whether you're doing like a cacao ceremony or you're like going to a hip hop class or something.
Yeah. But I love that.
So I set the intention, like, just let me know what I need to know. And I was at a pretty I was coming off of kind of like a stressful period of my life, I think, at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And so similarly, it was like cacao felt like this like warm, loving blanket, but like a slightly sexual way. And so it was interesting because I remember being like so relaxed and kind of just letting myself drip into meditation. And all of a sudden I'm like laying there in my meditation and I'm completely like, when you're there and you're like, you feel like you're conscious, but you're not really conscious. And I see Archangel Metatron, who is one of my guides that I work with a lot, especially in regards to my business. He is my CEO of my company, I say.
Love
and
that.
He comes and he's starting to like kiss my neck and like touch me. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, mind you, I have never had sexual relations with an angel.
Yeah. And like, you usually don't mix business with pleasure.
I don't. Well, no, I do.
Well, all right. Who are we kidding?
But usually not in other realms.
Like, yeah, usually not in other dimensions or with, non-human form.
Non-human form. This was the first for me. And I was like, what is going on? And because I had never experienced him in this capacity.
Yeah.
And he was like, do you enjoy this? And I was like, yeah, I do. And he was like, and then he like started making out with me. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to allow this to happen. See what happens. And he was like, well, do you enjoy foreplay? I was like, well, of course who doesn't enjoy foreplay, right? Like, of course I enjoy foreplay. I'm a woman. And he was like, yeah, he's like, so why are you trying to rush through the foreplay in your life right now? Oh. And I was just like, I was like, oh my God. So by this time, like we're like being intimate right now, but he's like saying this as we're being intimate. And it was almost like he was like trying to, sounds like he was like penetrating my soul with this message.
Oh my God.
Right?
Oh my God. Yeah.
And I really I got it. Like I got it on like a really deep level. Cause I think sometimes you can read a book, you can hear like a thing, but it was almost like it really like went into my cells. I really saw, oh wow. If I really think about life, the way I think about sex
and pleasure
right? That like, here I am, like, I'm just chasing the orgasm. I'm not enjoying anything up until the orgasm, which, if you think of that in a sexual way, you're like, well, the orgasm is amazing and great, of course. But so much of like the juiciness comes from like the cuddling and the kissing and like the exploring.
And the savoring.
And just being in that moment and, relaxing into that process. And I really, after that, me and Danielle went into the hot tub together under the stars.
Yes, we did.
And it was so weird because it was almost like I remember coming out of it and feeling like I had just had sex with someone right next to you.
Right. Totally. It was like that awkward feeling where you're like, did we just were we just at like some weird spiritual swingers club?
Yeah. It was definitely one of my most unique meditative experiences. But a really valuable one that I haven't forgotten.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. I mean, you share yours much more profoundly than mine. Mine sounds very manic in the way that I described it. But yeah, there was this physical undulation that was literally happening. But what I felt like it was doing for me, definitely again, like the cacao was like operating as almost like this like ecstasy, like MDMA kind of effect, right? And sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need it, like what you're saying, to get out of your head and into your body. And that's kind of what I was noticing the most through all of it. It was just like your heart, remember, Danielle, like your heart is like the pleasure center in all of this. And the more that you open up your heart, the more that you let your guard down, the more, that you enjoy, that's fulfilling, that is fun, that is satisfying will come to you. And it can always be this way if you just remember to access this place.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like it was a tremendous heart opener. And it was just, it was like a relaxation that came from allowing your, to settle. I think that's true. Get out of your head and just into your body and your heart. And I feel like something about the cacao also, because it's it's like an earth element.
Mm-hmm.
It's like grounding in all of that and like grounding in your heart chakra. It was a beautiful, beautiful time.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, it's a big deal. We Cacao-gasm together.
We Cacao-gasm together and it was epic.
It was really good. It was really good. So yay. Well,
So
yeah.
don't be too
So
jealous at home, guys. Sorry.
yeah, I
Seek
mean,
out your local cacao ceremony. Those are
exactly,
very
exactly. Look for it on Yelp.
good.
Not sure if you'll find it there, but no, it's true. If you reach out to like, I actually went to one about a month ago here in Philly.
Oh,
There
how
was a
did it
wellness
compare?
center. Hmm.
How did it compare?
It wasn't as intense. Part of me wonders. I think the us being near the ocean. I think there was an ocean energy that was very powerful.
Yeah.
Um, for the time that we experienced it, and even when I've done it again. I did it again after in LA, and again there was that ocean energy. So I think doing it here, in a more urban setting, I still had a really beautiful experience, and I still had, but it didn't feel as raw, I guess, and it didn't feel as intense.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah. Well, I
it was
think it
still
also
really great.
helps. We were on like a retreat, and
Mm-hmm.
I think when you go to a retreat,
Yes.
the collective energy is people are really
Right.
like bringing it to like make
Mm-hmm.
some massive shifts. So when like
Yes.
there's like that collective energy,
Mm-hmm.
massive things tend to happen in those environments, which I think
Right.
it's hard to duplicate that in just like a night ceremony.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I didn't know anyone. Like it was literally like I saw it on a whim, and I didn't even know the teachers that were facilitating it or anyone that was there, which of course is fine. But I think to your
Yeah.
point, we were with that group all creating a collective experience. So it was definitely a peak moment.
Yeah. Yes.
So I love it. Cool. All right. Well, I think what's really cool about you and what I love about this show. So in addition to bringing in, thought leaders and teachers and people that are in the spiritual community, I'm such a reality TV junkie. So like I am like bringing on reality stars and people
Oh my
outside this
God,
community
I
too.
love that.
Yeah. Cause like, why not? Right. And I know that that's like where you got your start was in reality
I
TV.
know.
Does it feel
Yeah.
like so long ago?
It feels like an alternate lifetime sometimes.
Like how
And,
so?
it's not even like, it's funny because I was at a bachelorette party this past weekend and all the girls were talking about the reality TV shows that they watch.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, oh, don't worry, Cass. Like, we watched yours too. We were like equally obsessed. And like, it's so funny because in my head, I don't even think of like my show as a reality show.
Yeah, I kind of don't
Um,
either.
because I mean, it was called The Taste. It was an online cooking, not online. It was on ABC.
Mm-hmm.
It was a cooking competition. And so, although it was reality, it doesn't feel like reality, like The Bachelor, or like,
Mm-hmm.
Jersey
Real
Shore.
Housewives.
Yeah, it's not like that where someone followed me around in my real life.
Right. It wasn't
Um,
super dramatic in that fashion.
no, a little
But you
dramatic,
had your
but not
moments
super
though. You
dramatic. I
did.
did have some dramatic moments. I had like
Mm-hmm.
a romance on it. I
Mm-hmm.
had some like conspiracy around me. Um, not being vegan. That was lovely.
Mm.
Um, but you know what? I'm so grateful for it. It was that moment where I I really felt like I almost was dragged backwards into it. I didn't plan on it. I didn't really try to have it. It happened to me and I just kept on saying, yes, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was there was when I really realized like, oh my God, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like I'm supposed to be teaching people about health and happiness and,
Mm-hmm.
being myself. Up until that point, I was an actress and that was my first time doing TV as myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just an epic turning point in my life. And so I think when I look back, that's really how it started it all. And now it's so funny because I can't imagine like my life being any other way than it is
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, which is so cool. And you've really, I mean, I've known you for a while now. And I will say, like, this past, I'd say, like, really 6 months, I've seen you own, I don't want to say take ownership because you always take ownership, but I just have been seeing you embody this role just more eloquently. You know what I'm trying to say. Clearly, I'm not that
Aw,
word
thank you,
gracefully.
Danielle.
Yeah. But it's true. It seems like there's just so much more flow and ease. And again, I know that comes with time, but I've just just from my perspective, from an outsider view and knowing you for as long as I have, it just seems to be just grooving.
Yeah. And that's totally spot on. I think, I just turned 31 and last year I went through my Saturn return and yeah, like the past 2 years have felt like my Saturn return.
Yeah. It can do that though.
Yeah. So I think they were like little, it like had its peak and then there were like lead up and lead down. But, so I feel like I really went through this process of maturing in my business and my life. And, we were joking about it earlier, adulting. Like I started adulting more than ever. And, I was so resistant to it. I'm a Pisces and I have a lot of Pisces in my chart. So like, I just like being a dreamer and I like doing whatever I want to do. And I don't like systems or doing anything conventionally. And I finally just, got to the point a couple years ago where I was in so much pain where I realized I needed to start shifting some things. I needed to like take a look at things again and make some changes. And so it's been a gradual process, but I think the past 6 months, like you were saying, like it's almost like all of the pieces kind of finally lined up. And I really do feel that way. I feel more in flow than ever. My schedule has gotten even crazier, but I don't feel overwhelmed like I used to. I'm really just like, for the first time, genuinely actually able to tap into the gratitude and abundance of everything that was going on. Whereas there were a couple years there where I was actively trying to,
right?
But really just couldn't. Was really just feeling like I was drowning and overwhelmed. So thank God, glory, hallelujah.
Praise be.
We made it through the wilderness.
No, I feel you, because for me, I definitely have that. Don't want to conform to anything. I kind of was in this like almost rebellious energy with my business. So then I realized I was like defying a little bit of the structure and responsibility that I needed. And I thought winging it would be enough, because when you're winging it, you're kind of up in the clouds, you're being supported by the universe. Technically you are abundant and it's all, moving. It's all you're constantly getting by. But I realized like, I can't keep winging it. I got to like put my wings down and ground down. And I realized that was like really like transformational for me.
Yeah, exactly. Like my whole thing now has been called practical magic. I'm doing like a 6-month practical magic training and I'm writing my second book, Practical Magic. And this whole concept of literally doing exactly that, of like balancing out heaven and earth.
Yes.
Balancing out your playtime in the spiritual world with actually showing up for the earthly tasks. Because I do think both of us are very magical, very mystical, very powerful in the, in connecting to spirit and God and manifesting, and we can do that and it's fun for us. But I found that it was, when I really supported that with some of the earthly tasks, right? When I was not only manifesting abundance, but I was doing my budget sheets, then the money came in even faster.
Right.
Then the money was supported when it came in and it went to the right places, and, I handled it responsibly. And, same thing with business too. It's like a lot of my methods for doing things in business are still unconventional, but even in their unconventionality, there is a structure and a consistency to it. And, I think there needs to be that kind of like give and take. And I also totally fought it for a really long time.
Yeah. I don't know what it is that, why we do that, but that's why I'm really glad that practical magic came into form for you, because, there is something so beautiful about being in your magic, being in your spiritual essence, but there has to be some level of groundedness and further sustainability. And I think that was the part that was so draining and exhausting for me. It wasn't sustainable. And eventually you burn out.
That is the word. It's sustainability, because that's the thing. It's like and I feel like we're both kind of similar this way, where sometimes like work can speed up and you can have a bunch of events, you can have all these things going on. And then you get depleted. You need kind of like that, like time off to just like, sleep
nest.
And nest. And, and I think that is the gift that structure gives you. Right? Because when you're only depending on, let's say just the spiritual element of things and like manifesting and the more like magical stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is oftentimes when you're depleted, it can be a little bit harder to like rouse that energy, right?
Yeah.
When you're feeling like completely tapped out and you need to restore. So I really found having some consistent systems and having some things, it kind of holds you through. So you have that moment to like catch your breath, sleep a little bit more, you know, do whatever you need to do to make you okay, so that you can use your, you know, you can use your magic as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that's really what I felt. I feel like it was unsustainable. And like, I'm so glad you said that word, because that was definitely the word that had been coming up for me, where I was like, this is unsustainable. I can't live like this.
Right. Yeah. I feel like that came up for me when we went to Tony Robbins, when we did Unleash Your Power.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, my God. I almost forgot we did Tony Robbins.
Yeah. We've done a lot of things together.
We're badasses. You guys don't even know how much me and Danielle hang.
Oh, well, they've gotten a pretty good preview so far.
Right? We pretty much go all out when we're together.
Yeah.
I'm sad that we're separated by coast right now, but that's okay.
Yeah. It's okay. It'll
be remedied
full circle.
Time, I'm sure.
Yeah. The universe for some reason, like always is like, I feel like it just constantly pairs us together. So I'm not worried. Like, I feel like there's so many times where we weren't even planning on hanging out. And then it's like, oh, Danielle's here. Cassandra's here.
Can't get rid of me.
No. When like we wind up being roommates and it's like, oh, hey, okay.
It's so funny.
It's awesome though. Yeah. So I'm not worried. Universe wants us to be friends. So we will be forever.
They're like, these two flakeadoodles.
Yeah, seriously. Maybe that's why they separated us right now. Like, think about it. Like, I moved back here in September, and I've been practicing sustainability. Yeah. So that's why I did. It was like, we need to pull these two girls apart. Cassandra can be on the West Coast, Danielle will be on the East Coast, and they need to get their shit together.
Yeah, and then we'll be reunited in a celebration of getting our shit together.
Hopefully not in the middle of America. Don't reunite us in like Iowa.
Let's be reunited in like, I don't know, like one of the Greek Isles maybe.
Ooh, that sounds great.
Put that out in the universe.
All right, putting it out there. Putting it out there.
Mykonos.
Yes. I was talking about that last night. I actually was on a date last night.
Ooh, oh my God.
I know. And I manifested him. I'm like blushing because I'm like, what if he listens? But I don't think he will. Or it doesn't really matter because he would like that too, I guess. So this isn't airing like.
Manifested him. Come on. Tell us how you manifested him.
So first of all, what I realized, like, I had this huge realization. I've been, since I've been back, like I was telling you before the call even started, like I feel like I've been adulting more and really just owning my shit. And I kind of felt like I was at this weird place, and you know a little bit about this, where like I felt like the spiritual tools weren't working anymore for me. And I just kind of felt like in this weird space of like, where do I go from here? And I realized it wasn't that the spiritual tools weren't working. It was that I wasn't doing the deeper work to be able to use them. So I was still kind of just in this surface level state. And because I wasn't allowing myself to go deeper, I was trying to use the tools, but the tools couldn't work because I wasn't going to a place where I could apply them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I was kind of in that space. And so I've been doing a lot of inner child work, a lot of family origin stuff. So like really going back into my childhood, which is, dark and not always fun to kind of go back in time and pick apart the times where you were hurt or vulnerable, or felt abandoned. And so I started to play with that, and I started to look back at old stories, and I realized I've developed this story because of my upbringing that I'm irresponsible and that I'm a flight risk.
Oh,
yeah. Because like, I had ADD and like I'm not into labels, but like if we want to call it something like ADD. So I kind of had a focus problem, and like school wasn't like my favorite thing. So it was always like, we got to take care of Danielle. Like we got like Danielle, like she needs to keep up or everyone's going to pass her by. Like there was this kind of this like flight risk quality to me. And so
that's so interesting. I would have never guessed that about you.
I know people say that all the time because I was trying and so then I was in such like a codependency with my business, with my life in so many aspects to show people I've got it together. But deep down, I was still playing the story of you don't have it together. So subconsciously, I was playing a different story than what I was projecting to the world.
Ooh, I feel like I can relate to that a lot.
Yeah. So then that creates a lot of wonkiness, right? And it repels what you're trying to manifest. Like you can't like, yeah, some things you can manifest by projecting out, but like if deep down subconsciously you're playing a different manifestation, it's going to come to a head. So once I had that realization that like the reason why I wasn't attracting serious guys was because I wasn't taking myself seriously as partnership material.
Yep.
And so then that was like a huge game changer for me. So I was like, fuck that. Like I am capable. I am responsible. Like I'm a freaking entrepreneur. I have no debt. I'm like able to live in a place by myself. I built a business like X, Y, and Z. And then I started looking at it from a relationship standpoint, like how I'm like, you know, quote unquote partnership material from the space of how I would show up for them and all these different things. So then from there, I got more and more clear too on, okay, what kind of guy am I really looking for? Because I think before, based on the story of don't take me seriously, I was attracting a lot of players and I thought that's what I wanted.
Mm,
And then I realized
yep.
I don't want a player. I don't
No,
know. So then I redefined what I wanted. And then he like these guys are like showing up.
that's amazing.
It's really cool. And so yeah, I went on a date with one of them last night and like it was so funny. Like he was like normally the kind of guys I go out with are usually they're kind of like me in this way, like loud and flirty and kind of like, you know, sexual, like how I can be sometimes
Yeah.
like my dirty gypsy counterpart. But he
Yeah.
was like so like humble and like really shy and nervous, but also like very kind and responsible. Like he's like it
Like
was
husband
just
material.
yeah, he was like totally husband material. And like, I don't know where it's going to go, but it was just so amazing to be on this date and witness like what it could be, like what it's like. Not could be like, but what it
Yeah.
is like.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I so relate to that too. And I feel like it's so funny. I'm on the cusp of a man miracle.
Mm.
And I similarly, I think mine was a little bit different, but also had some realizations. So in my numerology, last year was a 9 year for me, and this year's a
Mm-hmm.
1 year.
Mm.
And so I have a tradition every year on my birthday, I see a psychic. And so I saw a psychic on my birthday a couple weeks ago, and she was telling me about this and how I was completing a pattern with men,
Mm-hmm.
and that I still had like one guy that was lingering.
Mm. There's
And
always that one.
it was true. I had this mega crush on this guy friend of mine,
Mm-hmm.
and who is just super spiritual.
Yeah.
And and all of these, kind of like typical, but kind of like you were saying, like you were going for players.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to go for guys that like don't have their stuff together as much as I do.
Mm.
And
Interesting.
yeah, and like oftentimes if they're like spiritual, or they have like they're deep intellectually or something like that, that can let me make like infinite excuses for anything else that they have going on.
Mm.
And
Interesting.
so I would attract guys that just weren't, and when I say like don't have their ish together, it doesn't mean that anybody is like a bad person or
Of
whatever.
course.
But there's a certain characteristic. I think both of us are at this place right now. We're ready to have like a serious relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for a man to want to have a serious relationship, he needs to feel like he has his feet on solid ground.
Mm.
So it wasn't even like I cared necessarily where his feet were, because my feet are on solid ground.
Right.
But I really started to see, oh, wow. And I read this book, Attached, that one of my guy friends, he has a pretty well-known Instagram account called Create the Love, Mark Groves. He's great at giving me recommendations, and he was like, read Attached. I think you need to discover something about yourself. And
Hmm.
he's known me for years.
Mm-hmm.
And when I read this book, I was like, oh my God, I am an avoidant attachment person. Like,
Wow.
I'm actually someone that I say I want commitment, I say I want all this, but then like when stuff is real, I like freak out.
That's so
And
interesting. Oh my God.
so I like subconsciously, kind of how you were saying, I
Mm-hmm.
subconsciously went for these guys that I knew couldn't be serious with me.
Right. Yep. To
And
to to confirm that subconscious story.
yeah,
Mm.
like how nuts is that? And it's
It's so
so
crazy.
it's so crazy. But when I was reading it, it was one of those things where you're like, oh man, yes, this explains so much. So I had a miracle around this guy friend of mine, and I was able to release my crush for him, and was able to like be able to I love him to the ends of the earth.
I feel like I know who it is. I'll ask you later though.
Yeah. I don't want to like completely.
No, we're not going to out him, but I feel like I kind of know. So
you probably know. Actually, you might not know. You might.
We'll see. We'll find out. I'll put in the show notes if I got it right or not. I won't say who it is, but I'll say.
Okay. You know, we'll see if Danielle guessed right.
Yeah, to be continued.
A couple of these guys, so. But it was so funny, and I really I did after I like had this aha, and it was like kind of felt like a birthday miracle to me, honestly. I wrote out a list of like what I actually want.
Yeah.
And the qualities that I really want in a guy. And it was really crazy because like a lot of the things that I really want, like they don't even match up with most of the people I've dated.
That's exactly what happened to me. Exactly. I was like, this has nothing to do with any man I've been. I mean, for the most part, right? Any man I've been with.
I mean, obviously they're like all kind and loving and
right.
Like that. But like a lot of
they all have a penis, you know.
A lot of the other characters I put, I'm like, yeah, nope.
Yeah, totally. I couldn't believe it.
So I'm really excited. I haven't gone on a date quite yet, but I'm ready and I'm open, and I really do energetically feel like it almost felt. I think sometimes when you have those breakthroughs, you just energetically feel like a massive opening.
Yes, so you feel freedom.
I really did. So I'm so excited. I feel like I'm going to go on a date soon. And I think he's similarly going to be someone that I may have not dated before, you know, in the quality sense of the word.
Yes.
You know, and I'm excited to experience that.
It's really cool. Like I felt so just at ease and comfortable, and what it was because I also wasn't really relying on his validation, right? Like, of course you want, if you're interested in someone, you want them to like you back and you want to see where it's going, but like, it's a first date, you know, we really don't know each other. So I wasn't in that space of like, does he like me? Does he want me? It was just kind of like, here I am having a conversation. It's going well. He's really sweet. This is really nice. And just being content and in the moment. And it was just so refreshing.
And don't you think one of the things I've really noticed is that, you know, when you really like when your business is really fulfilling and you have a lot of other things going on in your life and you're just feeling good in general with your friends and like all the things, it's so much easier to like be unattached in dating.
Yes.
Just feel like my life is good. Like, do you add to it? Do you not? Like, how's it, you know?
Right. Like, is this going to work or is it not? It's cool. Like, I'm just getting feedback here.
Yeah. So I think that's always exciting.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I'm excited for you. Keep me posted.
It's going to be the year of romance for us, Tanya.
Yes. I feel it.
I feel it.
Spring is almost upon us.
Woo, woo. Summer lovin'.
Yes. And maybe we'll be in Mykonos with our
oh my
our
God,
dudes
we'll
together.
bring our men to Mykonos with us.
I love that idea.
We'll tell them that we manifested.
We'll tell them we manifested this moment.
I told my ex-boyfriend that I manifested him because I did this. I really did. I like, you know, literally wrote out exactly what I thought I wanted at that time.
Right.
In my life.
You manifested him from the place you were in at that time.
Yes. And then he came like pretty fast. And then
I hope not too fast.
That's a whole other topic.
Papa.
And we dated for a while. We dated for like a year. And I remember, so I told him it a few times. I used to say it like, I manifested you. You're like exactly what I asked for. And I used to say it as like a loving thing. You know, I felt like it was very flattering, right?
Yeah, like endearing.
Yeah, I thought it was endearing. And he would say back, he would be like, well, how do you know I didn't manifest you? And I'm like, well, maybe we did. Maybe we manifested each other, you know, whatever. And in my head, I was like, you don't even know. But
you don't know the half of it.
You don't know the half of what I did now. But I remember literally during our breakup, one of the things he like, you know, when you like, I don't know, if you have like a not super like adult breakup.
Yeah, and there's like no filter and you're
like
kind of
no filter and people, you're just kind of like shouting like stuff at each other.
Oh, I've had my fair share, yes.
It was a less involved breakup. He was like, and I freaking hated that you always told me that you manifested me. Like, don't tell people stuff. It's creepy. It's weird. It makes me feel like I didn't have any free will in the whole arena. Like, you just called me in and I just had to be yours. And I was
my
like,
God.
oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Lesson learned.
Wow.
So now I'm like, if I, for my upcoming husband, I might be a little more delicate with how much I tell him I manifested him.
Right. I think he will appreciate it down the road, perhaps not initially.
In the right timing. Yeah, with the right timing.
Yeah. Do you want to hear? Okay, so this is what happened in my last breakup, what he yelled to me.
Oh gosh.
Okay. So we're like going back and forth about stupid things. And so like I have this is going to get like kind of gross, but like I have like, like you never want to like fart in front of your person you're dating, right?
Yeah, of course.
At least not in the beginning. And so then I have this issue. Well, from Soul Camp, I have this issue where like if I don't, then it like all like kind of like percolates inside of me. You know what I mean? Like you have like this internal fart kind of situation happening because you can't release it. And so I would like do that and like think like, okay, I'm getting away with it though. Like I'm not farting in front of him. Well, apparently it would all like come out when I fell asleep. So he was like, oh yeah. He's like, cause I said something like you snore, like, I don't know. And he was like, well, you fart in your sleep. And I was like,
oh
God.
That's God. So mean.
That's
I know.
A fucking
low blow.
I know, it really was. I was like, you know what, dude? But anyway, but I'm like, I'll look into that going forward.
But what can you do? Like, what can you really do about that? Like, you were sleeping.
Yeah, like nothing. I mean, there's not much I can.
I actually had a guy tell me that once, and it was like early on in our dating, and we were like making out in his bed during the day, and then like we just like took a nap, and and he like, and the thing is like to this day, I don't know if he was like being honest or if he was just like trying to bust my balls. But like after I woke up from the nap, he was like, yeah, you totally like farted in your sleep or whatever. And I was like, no, I didn't. Cause it was like, when you like, when you take a nap and you're like sleeping, but you're not really sleeping.
Sleeping. Right.
And so I was like, I was pretty conscious for that. I would have totally noticed, and it probably would have woke me up even more.
Yeah.
I'll never talk about this. Yeah. But literally, that comment made me just be like, F you, dude. Yeah. I'm so done with you. Like,
yeah, like guys, it's not cool.
Like, that's rude.
Like, it's rude. It's rude. It's not necessary.
And I also think you get to a certain age where, like, obviously I'm such a lady in all those aspects and like don't like, I'm not one of those girls that likes to like burp in front of guys or anything.
Yeah, I'm the same.
But you also get to a certain age where you're like, okay, like I've definitely dealt with like boyfriends or whatever who had like diarrhea or, like.
Sure, like we're human. Like it happens. We get sick,
Yeah, things happen. And like,
it's not intentional.
Make someone feel worse about them.
Right. That's the issue I have. Like, yeah, like of course, like, yeah, we're all going to fart accidentally in front of somebody. Like, it's gonna happen, but like don't make someone feel bad because of it.
Yeah.
And again, especially in the beginning.
I want to ask you a question, Danielle.
Oh, okay.
I just want your opinion on this. So, as an astrologer, what's your opinion on like doing someone's chart when you start dating? I always do everyone's chart when I start dating them, But what's your opinion on like, let's say like, looking at your astrological compatibility? How much weight do you actually put in that?
Well, the thing is initially I try not to do it at all. Like I try not to look up their sign or anything because I don't want to subject myself to any kind of like judgment. I want myself to be really open and not because I have a tendency because I know the signs so well. And like for me, astrology is a psychology. So like if I have access to their information, like I look at it like psychological data about this individual. And
you're like, don't tell me your birthday. Whatever you do, don't tell me your birthday.
I know.
Tell me your birthday until we're 6 months into this.
I know. And that's I was in the clear with the guy last night. And then my one girlfriend, she like found him on Facebook and she was like, I found out his birthday. And I was like, oh, here we go. And I like found it out, but it's fine. But I will say I haven't looked up the full date yet. I've just been sitting with the actual date and what I do know. But isn't that funny? Because like I know myself and I want to be open, and I want, because I'm sometimes the type of person, I'm like, well, especially when it comes to relationships, and like, if God wants me to, like, I'm kind of more in an open space now. And like, if I really am doing the work and attracting someone that is aligned to me, like, who am I to say like, actually it doesn't work anymore because of this? And I just don't want to like block myself. So my feeling is, if I can wait at least a couple weeks, I feel like I shouldn't look at it until I actually sleep with the person. Then I'm allowed.
Oh, interesting.
Right? Like, some people will say like, don't sleep with a guy for 6 weeks. I'm like, don't look at his chart until you sleep with him. Right? Yeah. Cause I just, I don't want it to get in my head. And I advise that with other people as well, because I think we get too dependent on it. And instead of just looking at yourself in the relationship and looking at this person showing up for you, we're trying to get more answers of, will this work? There's that impatience factor that starts to come into play. And I think it's kind of like, well, it's like that energy of like, well, just tell me if this is going to work. And
I think we both know about anything in life, whether it's love or career or anything. It's like you can, right? You can make an educated guess based on information that we can tap into.
Exactly.
But whether it's like tuning in psychically or with tarot cards or with astrology or whatever it is, it's like, it's an educated guess.
It really is.
Still so many like question marks, and your best bet is totally just following your heart.
Yeah, follow your heart. And I do find that, again, as the relationship evolves, as, you're with that person for a longer amount of time, then you can look at your charts. I like working with couples that have been together at least like a year, and then taking their charts. And then it's more about communication and like things like that I'm able to help them with and really like strengthen. It's like, okay, tell me what's been working for you guys and tell me what hasn't been working. And then I look at their charts, and then it's like I can really help them and I can really strengthen their relationship, even if on paper it doesn't look like it's compatible, as like you were just saying, like anything technically is, if it feels right.
Yeah.
It's just a tool.
I stopped doing like the compatibility ones, but I'll look up a guy's chart when I get to the point, for me, it's just when I get to the point where I'm like actually thinking about investing in him. It's almost like I want to look at his medical record. You
make it sound like a business venture.
Right? I'm like, I just need to assess what I'm signing up for. And I look at it, but recently with this guy that I liked, I looked at his chart, and it was actually so interesting. And I always tell them, like, I don't do it in secret. Obviously, because I need their birth time and place. And I'm like, so I'm just gonna look at your chart. And I remember I was talking to him about it, because he was like, what? He hadn't ever had anyone even look at his chart before. So I was going through certain things, and there were certain things that came up, and I was like, oh wow, this says you're like super emotional. Like, I definitely haven't seen that of you. And he was like, yeah, I'm pretty good at like keeping that away from you. And
and I kind of want to keep it that way.
And it was really fun. And there was like, actually just like, I was able to see some things in his chart that actually made me have more compassion for him in certain things, right?
Interesting. So it actually opened up your heart more.
It did, because I was able to see how, and I think everybody does this in dating or relationships, right? Where sometimes when you want to like impress a person, we all know like the like lesser exciting things in our goodie bag. And so you kind of put on your best face.
Right. That's why I don't fart.
Exactly. That's why you don't fart.
Right, but you're absolutely right. You're kind of putting on not a performance, but you're coming with all you got, all your goods.
It's true. It's like, I mean, even if you just, and it's completely, it's innocent, because it's like if you're someone that's like, tends towards anxiety, let's say, and maybe you tend towards anxiety around work, and so it's like it's like not something that directly affects a partner, but if you're in the early stages of dating, you're probably not gonna like just like overwhelmingly dump how anxious you are about work on your, person that you're dating. Yeah. So I
would hope not.
Right. But it's interesting because like sometimes, you read someone's chart and you're like, oh wow, it feels like you might be a little anxious or whatever. You might have anxious.
Right. You know, what's interesting? I think what I find with it exposes some of their feminine qualities.
Yes.
Which would make sense for what you're saying. Like usually a guy doesn't show up with his feminine qualities. And when you look at his chart, you're able to kind of see what those are.
Totally. Which I think does open your heart. At least for me, it always opens my heart when I see the feminine.
Oh, for sure. Again, like you said, compassion. I think that's a great word.
Yeah.
for that. Yeah. So it's it's an interesting thing. Like I'm really trying to just stay grounded with my dating and not get too ahead of myself. And sometimes when I bring in like the metaphysical knowledge
Yeah.
that I have, it gets me, a
It's
little
too much.
too, yeah. At
I
least for right
agree.
now. So it's something
Yeah.
I'm playing with,
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
I support
Yeah.
it.
So that's kind of where I'm at with that. So how do you feel? So yeah, so I am gonna try. I've never done this before. I'm gonna try out the not sleeping with a guy for at least 4 weeks upon meeting
Woo!
him. Yeah,
Ooh, I love that.
I know. Have you ever done that? Like how long do you usually wait?
Oh, you're gonna die. Have we not? I don't know if we've talked about this, but
Maybe we haven't. I've just blocked it
maybe
from my
we have.
memory.
You probably would. Um, I I wait until we're committed.
Do you? Yeah. I feel like I
Um,
did know that. And
yeah,
how
and
does that work? Because, like, again, I'm being like completely honest. Like, I've done that, I think, one time. And even still, I think we only waited like 2.5 weeks,
well, there are definitely times where that period is shorter than others, depending
Mm
on like how ready the guy is to commit.
hmm. Mm hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's honestly it's complicated and it's not that easy anymore. It used to be way easier when I was younger. And
Interesting.
now when I'm dating now, guys, especially in LA, I'll say, at least like they just expect you to sleep with them really soon. And for me, the reason I do it is because I know myself
Mm hmm.
and I am someone that cannot have sex without getting ridiculously attached to someone.
Right.
So I know myself.
Mm hmm.
That's like just how I am.
Mm hmm.
And so if I'm going to engage in that kind of relationship, if I don't do it within like, when I say committed, it doesn't necessarily mean he has to be calling, you don't have to be like Facebook official, but
Right.
like,
But you're not seeing other people.
I'm not seeing other people. I'm only interested in seeing you, and I'm interested in investigating, in
Mm hmm.
exploring a serious relationship with you.
Mm hmm.
That's what has to like, in some level of that conversation has to happen. And for me, that gives me a container where then I can feel comfortable enough.
Right.
And to be honest, I think we talked about this at Soul Camp. I've even had instances where the guy is ready to say that before I am.
Mm hmm.
And then I've had times where even though we were committed, it still felt a little soon for me.
Yeah.
I really, I just really feel like I need to like really know someone, and it just totally depends on the relationship. And sometimes you meet people and you talk to them for like hours, and you stay up all night, and you feel
Mm
like you
hmm.
know them, and in like 2 weeks you feel like you know them so well. And
Yeah.
other people, you could date them 3 months and not know them the same way that you
Mm
date that one guy in 2 weeks. So yeah, so it's my little insurance plan, I
hmm.
guess, so to speak,
Yeah.
to
No,
keep me from being a crazy psychopath.
right. Yeah, no, I appreciate that perspective. That's pretty much why I'm doing it myself also, because again, it's like that chemical, you know,
I mean, it's
juju.
exactly. It's like literally, it's a chemical thing
Hmm.
that happens that it's pretty hard to avoid, or it's rare to avoid it.
Yeah, it is. I'd say I used to be able to master it. Well, I'd say there was one point where I definitely wasn't ready for a relationship at certain points. And of course, then it's fine. And then
Yeah,
when I was really into one night stands, that was
yeah.
fine. Cause like one night I think you're okay. I don't think you get the whole exchange fully. It's once you do it the second time, I think that's when it all goes downhill.
It's also the container, right? So
Yeah.
if you're like going into it thinking like, I just want a one night stand, you're
Hmm.
hot, like let's have fun. But I
Right.
think when it's tricky is like when you go on like a date or two and you're like, oh my God, I really like this guy, he has
Hmm.
potential, and you kind of go into what I like to call daydream land.
Hmm.
And then once you're in daydream land and then you add sex to that, then it's just a complete disaster.
Yeah. Okay. So I bet, and this is great because this, goes in alignment with a lot of the things that you do with body wisdom and whatnot. So I know that there are women that are listening right now that are kind of intrigued right now and thinking like, actually, maybe I should, hold off having sex until we're, in more of a committed space, or I want to wait a few weeks too. How do you bring that up? So like when you're first starting to see someone, are you just completely transparent?
Yeah. So it is not easy, ladies, I will say. The conversation it's definitely a tricky thing to navigate. And so I actually try to bring it up as soon as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's much trickier, and sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But like it's most difficult to bring it up once you're already kind of like in a position where he wants to have sex with you.
Right. Like, don't
So
bring it up when he's like erect on top of you.
yeah, because then it's true though, because sometimes it takes until then, and then you bring it up, and then he's like, what?
Right. That's
And
not fair.
also I feel like when just like to be totally real about it, if you let a guy get to that point, some guys actually think you're trying to be coy with them. And like, not in like a rapey way, but in a way that a lot of girls, say the thing like, oh, I don't normally do this.
Mm.
Right. Or like, oh, I usually just wait, or, whatever. And so I feel like a lot of guys are used to girls saying things like that before they sleep with them. And so they aren't, whereas like if you just say it to him in a way, I usually, in the first couple of dates, if one, don't put myself in situations, so like don't go back to his house, don't ask him back to my apartment, for at least the first like couple of dates.
Makes sense.
So there's like no way that it could even happen. That's really helpful.
Right. So public places.
Public places, and then if he asks you to go back to his apartment, and you feel the fact that he wants you to go back to his apartment to whatever,
Hook up.
there's Matthew Hussey actually gave this great like little one-liner that I thought was so perfect. And he was like, when you're rejecting a guy, you want to make sure you're being like sweet too.
Mm.
Right. So you have to like, you kind of have to, because it's an ego blow to him that you're not sleeping with him. Right.
So you don't want to be blunt.
Yeah. So you kind of want to just be like, you are so sexy and I am incredibly tempted right now, but I am just not that kind of girl. I really, and not even actually not that kind of girl is probably not the best way to say it. Like but this is just not my style. That's probably how I usually say it. It's just not my style. I really need to, get to know you better. And I'd love to see you again,
That's
and
so great.
You want to like sandwich it with a compliment and a reassurance. Because it is a hard blow. And if you deliver it wrongly, a guy will just think you're not into him.
Mm-hmm. He'll get the wrong idea.
Yeah. So if it like gets to that point where he's like trying to ask you up, then I would say something like that, where I'm just like, I'm so attracted to you and I had the best time tonight, but it's just still a little too soon for me to, to do that. So I think I'm just going to call it a night, but I'd really love to see you again and you're wonderful, or something like that, And otherwise I do try to, if it comes up, and I think sometimes in the first few dates, somehow sex will come up in a conversation or relationships or something like that. And I try to find a way to put it in there and just be like, I just want you to know that I actually don't sleep with guys until we're in an exclusive, committed relationship. It's, just a rule that I've had for a while. And, I think guys really respect it. Like the kind of guy that you want to date is going to respect it. And some guys are pretty turned on by it, honestly. Like I think it's instantly makes a guy realize that you're not someone that can be a hookup thing with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that.
And so, and so if he like ditches you after that, it's probably because he just wanted a hookup thing.
Right. And he doesn't respect you. So moving on.
Exactly. So it's a great weeder outer.
Mm-hmm. That was really helpful.
Thanks.
I'm going to use that and report back.
Let me know.
Oh, look at me being so conservative.
Oh my God. I feel like I make a bad influence on you.
I know. We're going to have to change the name of the show.
Right?
Gypsy by day. Oh my gosh. Well, I love it. Well, oh my gosh. We already like blew through our hour.
Of course we did.
We're like amazing. This was so fun. You're like, I just love jamming with you. Of course, we'll have you back on another time. And I just love everything you're doing. Like I said before, like you're just really in your groove. You're not only that, like from your perspective, but like for the collective, like you're making an impact. You're opening people's eyes up. You're not just kind of the gateway to self-help. Like you're the gateway for people. You're awakening people, but then you're giving them that sustainability also, and saying like it goes beyond the green juice and the meditation and here are the next steps. And I just that's you adulting and being responsible and really kind of bringing this conscious maturity to the way that you show up in the world. So I honor you for that.
Thank you, Danielle. I appreciate that.
You're
And
welcome.
I'm so grateful for you and so excited for all the things you're doing. And it feels like just such an honor and a pleasure to be able to be kind of side by side, so to speak, while we both grow and evolve and to get to experience that. I'm so excited for everything that's going on with you and for this podcast, which I'm so glad that you finally created.
Me too. Thank you. It feels good. It's been awesome. So, yay! All the things.
All the things.
Good juju. Also, side note, so I just got invited back to Soul Camp, but it's Soul Camp East.
Oh, well, because you're on the East.
I know, but it's like I've always done West with you.
I know. Well, I'm not doing West this year.
Oh, so maybe that's why.
So you're free to do East by yourself.
I'm gonna do East by myself. It's gonna be weird.
It's gonna be weird. It's not gonna be
weird.
half as fun without me.
Yeah. It'll be fine. It's the universe still being like, okay, Danielle, you stay on your coast.
You stay on your coast. Be responsible. Yeah. You guys can see each other in small doses.
Exactly, which is great. So I already put in the show notes and talked a little bit at the intro about how people can find you and all that. But is there any kind of lingering like shout out you want to give for yourself to the world?
Oh, yeah, well, I don't know.
I'm like, I'm going to put that on you. Like, what's your shout out to the world?
What's my shout out to the world? Well, if you want to tune into your body's wisdom, if, food and your body and that relationship is something that you're needing a healing around, I highly recommend my own book called Eat with Intention. It's a gem. You can find it at Barnes & Noble or Amazon or wherever books are sold.
Mm-hmm. I'll put the link on here. It's really good.
Thanks. And then my spiritual community, appreciate.com. If you want something, if you live in an area, I created it specifically for people that live in places where maybe they might not be as lucky as us to be able to go to the random cacao ceremony on a Friday night. It's a weekly spiritual workshop. We can kind of tune in and meditate, and we have different topics and different things we cover all the time. And and I mostly live on Instagram, so that's the best place to follow me if you want to watch stories about every nook and cranny of my daily life.
Yeah, I pretty much only bring people on this show that have really good Instagram stories. Like if you suck at Instagram stories, then you're probably not coming on this podcast.
Well, me and you kind of like, we mastered Instagram story before Instagram story even came out because we were like masters of Periscope.
Exactly. That's true. We were.
That was so sad when I left.
I know. I thought about it the other day, but it's not coming back.
No, it's not. It's gone.
It's done. So, awesome. Well, thank you so much again, guys. Absolutely follow her. I know that you just were like, you yourselves are like, oh my God, how did this like whole show freaking fly by? But because Cassandra's awesome and she's just like, as you're saying, she's bright, she's funny, she's all the things. I could go on and on. But darling, my friend, thank you so much for coming on. And I trust that I'll see you soon.
Yes. Thanks so much for having me. This was a blast.
Yay. All right. Another show, another experience, another transformation in your life. The other day a friend was telling me, she's like, your show is like a show about nothing, but it has depth at the same time. It's like, thanks. I'll take it. And what you can take is all the juicy information from this episode, starting with my girl, Meg Sylvester. Make sure, again, you check out her website, megsylvester.com. Her info is in the show notes. And then, of course, Cassandra, who we add on here, the links are in the show notes so that you can get her book. We also put the link in there for the book she referenced attached, and make sure you follow all of us on the Instagram because we love it there, just like we love you. I may not need your validation, but I certainly love it. To avoid any bad karma in your life, go ahead and drop a 5-star rating and leave us a review. For even more good juju, hit the subscribe button and share with your favorite babes. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next Tuesday? What? Am I allowed to say that?